If Atlantis never disappeared, humans would stop aging at 25 years old. That's right, your great-great-grandfather would still be alive today, looking better than you ever will, and absolutely crushing you at beer pong while casually mentioning that time he invented the wheel as a weekend hobby. The Atlanteans would have discovered immortality centuries ago, which means birthdays would just be an excuse to eat cake forever. Wrinkle cream would be completely useless, and retirement homes wouldn't even exist. Imagine arguing with your 500-year-old aunt about music trends while she insists that disco is still the greatest genre of all time. But here's where things get really wild. Life on the surface would be completely unrecognizable. Forget about traffic jams with cars. Instead, we'd have jellyfish jamming up the streets like they own the place. Schools would run on clam buses, which are literally giant seashells that open and close at every stop. Sometimes they'd snap shut at exactly the wrong moment, and it would be your job to escape without losing a limb. Even coffee culture would be totally different. Starbucks would serve triple sea salt foam lattes with extra kelp milk. Refuse the kelp milk, and the barista would glare at you like you just insulted Poseidon himself. Fashion would explode in ways we can barely imagine. Seashell bras, kelp hats, and glowing coral sandals would be everywhere. Everyone would look like a sea goddess or god, and somehow it would all work perfectly. Now, the Atlanteans weren't just stylish, they were absolutely brilliant. Their technology would be off the charts compared to what we have today. The Atlanteans would have figured out crystal energy and advanced hydroengineering centuries before our Industrial Revolution even began. Their glowing cities would hum with endless power, leaving us surface dwellers scratching our heads, while Atlantis zips past us with submarines and air bubbles for transportation. Humanity would have completely skipped coal, oil, and climate problems entirely. Space exploration would have happened much, much earlier. Forget the 1960s moon landing that we're so proud of. Atlantean astronauts could have been sipping seaweed smoothies on Mars back in the 14th century. Just think about that for a moment. While Europe was dealing with the Black Death, Atlanteans would have been establishing colonies on other planets. Medicine would also be absolutely incredible. Broken bones could be healed by simply dipping them into glowing pools, and illnesses that take lives today wouldn't even exist. Cancer, heart disease, diabetes, all completely solved thousands of years ago. History as we know it would be completely different. Other civilizations like Egypt, Greece, and Rome might have evolved under Atlantis' influence and possibly become its provinces. The pyramids might have been powered by crystal energy instead of slave labor, and the Colosseum in Rome could have been flooded for live shark battles instead of gladiator fights. Wars would become mostly optional because a single tidal wave could wipe out anyone stupid enough to challenge Atlantis. The Renaissance would have started in Atlantis centuries earlier, with glowing art carved into coral walls and music played on giant conch shells. Shakespeare might have written, "To swim or not to swim? That is the question," instead of his famous Hamlet quote. Culture would be like one giant ocean festival. Skyscrapers shaped like coral reefs would fill every city, and neighborhoods would be decorated with beautiful seashell mosaics. Water-based sports would be more popular than football or soccer. Speaking of sports, soccer would be replaced by sharkball, where players have to score goals while dodging real sharks. The Olympics would be completely underwater with synchronized swimming as the main event, judged by Poseidon himself. One bad move and a lightning bolt could knock a competitor out of the competition. Basketball would be nearly impossible because balls would float in water, and boxing would look like slow-motion noodles of punches. Art would be made with glowing jellyfish ink, and concerts would be held in massive underwater amphitheaters. Drake would probably perform in a giant seashell stadium that could hold millions of fans. Now let's talk about jobs in this Atlantean world, because they would be absolutely wild. Nobody would ever retire because, remember, nobody ages past 25. Your boss could literally be 900 years old and still complaining about how riding seahorses to work was better back in his day. There would be bubble engineers designing breathable air pockets in homes, delivery drivers would be replaced by squid couriers, and Uber would become tuna Uber, where dolphin rides would cost extra. Office meetings would be constantly delayed because microphones would bubble underwater. Customer support would start every call asking things like, "How many dolphins are currently near your Wave-Fi router?" Since everyone would be immortal with too much free time, side hustles would be everywhere. Your neighbor could be a 700-year-old TikTok influencer teaching lobsters how to dance. LinkedIn profiles would look absolutely ridiculous with entries like professional sharkball referee, 900 years of experience. Politically, Atlantis would be the world's ultimate superpower. The United Nations might have its headquarters inside a giant crystal tower beneath the ocean, with world leaders traveling by submarine while sharks swim outside the windows. Political speeches would sound completely different. When humans say, "We must fight climate change," Atlantis would respond, "We solved that centuries ago with our magical crystals." When humans say, "We must end pandemics," Atlantis would respond, "We literally cured aging itself." You're welcome. Most conflicts on Earth would just be humans desperately begging for access to Atlantean technology and secrets. Tourism would be next-level amazing. Coral penthouses, dolphin butlers, and glowing pools everywhere you look. Surface tourists would constantly complain, asking, "Why is my hotel room wet?" And "Where is the Wi-Fi? It keeps bubbling away." Cruise ships would feel completely pointless. Why float on top of the ocean when you could live inside it in crystal towers with unlimited free seaweed smoothies? But there would still be jealousy and conflict between surface nations and Atlantis. Surface countries might try to copy Atlantean skincare routines or steal their powerful crystals, only to be chased away by armies of angry seahorses. Atlantis could keep their greatest secrets to themselves, including immortality and energy technology, creating a constant Cold War over who controls the oceans. In this alternate world, Instagram would be absolutely flooded with immortal grandmas showing off seashell bikinis that they've been wearing for centuries. TikTok trends would feature teenagers dancing with dolphins instead of doing whatever dance is popular this week. Politicians would campaign by riding sharks instead of buses through cities. Traffic reports would explain delays with phrases like "jellyfish jam on Interstate 95" and "dolphin protests are currently blocking the underwater tunnels." Coffee orders would be incredibly complicated with triple sea salt foam and extra kelp milk becoming the standard. Your neighbors could be immortal relatives who have been judging your fashion choices for literally hundreds of years. So if Atlantis had never disappeared, humanity would be living in a world of complete immortality. Crystal-powered cities, underwater culture, and shark ball championships replacing every sport we know today. Energy crises would be completely eliminated. Wars would virtually disappear. Aging would stop entirely. Humans would have colonized Mars centuries before our current timeline even began. But we'd also have to deal with jellyfish traffic jams, salty lattes, and immortal grandparents photobombing every single TikTok trend for eternity. Maybe Atlantis sinking actually spared humanity from complete chaos. Or maybe it robbed the world of the greatest civilization in history. Either way, our current surface world might just be a dull shadow of what could have been.